Hey, what's going on YouTube? Wanted to bring this clear to you tonight after working it out over on stream over on Twitch, and that is to play with Mediena against the Genies and take them out in one turn. I had heard this was possible and wasn't 100% sure how to make it work, but over on stream tonight, me and the gang did work out a clear that could be taken care of in one turn with only actually two units wearing any gear, and that's going to be Mediena and your tag chainer. But it's very, very doable, and it doesn't even have to be your Mediena. It can be a friend Mediena. So if you've got a friend with a really strong Mediena and you haven't taken this trial out and you want to go ahead and get it done, it can be done. But it's going to need a couple of things for you, some of which are budget and some of which are not budget, and that is okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at what you need. You will need an AoE Spirit Break. You will need an AoE Ice Imperil, and you will need an AoE Tag Chainer. Biggs and Wedge are obviously the best one with the 4x attack setup, and I'm going to show you how to do that if you haven't done it before. You're going to need an AoE Fairy Killer buff, or at least a Fairy Killer buff for your Mediena. You're going to need a source of Ice Amplification, a source of AoE Rod Imperil, and a source of Evasion if you don't manage to kill the boss on turn 1. And I did go ahead and put on there one really strong Mediena friend, and that's going to be useful. Now, if you don't kill the boss on turn 1 and you have to go to turn 2, that's not a problem with the setup that I'm going to show you, but you do need to make sure you have an elixir in your inventory so that you can refill Mediena's MP and let her cast on turn 2, which is not a big deal. So let's go ahead and get into it, and I'll go through the gear, which is for most of the party not going to be relevant because most of them are not wearing anything. And that's okay. We're going to be doing Scorn and the Genies here, highest difficulty, 420, and we're going to bring we're going to bring we're going to bring my friend unit, which is not a big deal. It's going to be Realm here. Notice that 4 out of 6 are not wearing any equipment. Okay, that's okay, and that's totally the way it's going to go. So we're going to look at the ones that do have equipment on, and that's going to be Biggs and Wedge. Esper is not important, but they do have to be having 2 weapons, and then a source of dual wield, and then something that makes their attacks hit twice. So this way they do their AoE hit, their AoE tag chain 4 times, and this is an ice weapon. It does not have to be this ice weapon. It can be any ice weapon you have available. This was just the first one that I found on my list. Okay, no abilities, no vision card. That's it. They just need to be able to attack. They don't even need this. They don't even need this. They just need 2 weapons. I just grabbed 2. Whatever. That is not important. Esper is not important. These guys are completely unequipped. Nothing needed. Nothing needed. And then Mediena. Mediena is going to be built for MP, as high MP as you can, while still having a good magic stat. So we've got MP, and then we've got Fairy Killer. However, you can get to Fairy Killer 300. Largely does not matter. Just get her to Fairy Killer 300. So get her to, she comes naturally with this. Get her to Fairy Killer. This is not important. And just do a Fairy Killer 300. High magic, high Fairy Killer. That's really all you got to build her for. MP is good. MP is the kind of the cornerstone to how this build works. That's because of this skill. The one skill we're going to be using, Ice Onslaught. It works kind of like Meteor. It consumes remaining MP to deal ice magic damage to all enemies. Cool. And so the higher MP you have, the better. Mine's going to cost 4,476 MP. And I have seen it work most of the time, killing the boss on 1 turn. Times when it has not killed the boss, and it's only had like 1% HP left or 2% HP left. And we have other sources of stuff that's going to help us survive, such as Roberta is going to be giving us Mirage stacks, as well as Ice Amplification. We're getting Ice Imperil here. Does not have to be Alina. We're getting a Spirit Break and a Fairy Killer buff here. Does not have to be Blue Mage Fina, but it's a very good choice. And Realm's going to be doing our Rod Imperil. Realm also has Fairy Killer, so if you didn't want to bring Fina for some reason and you just want to use Realm, you could. It's only a 75% instead of a 150, but it's there. So let's go and do it. Let's go do it and see if we can't kill this boss on turn 1. You want to bring mages to this fight, ideally. There is an area effect for boosted magic damage, but you don't have to if you have like absurdly strong units like Esther, who can take this out in a couple turns because she's ridiculous. But we're going to do this with Mediena because she's free. Well, not free. She's old in NVA and just came out and has some neat utility, so we're going to use Esther or Mediena here. First things first, we're going to go ahead and imperil the boss with crystal refraction. Bosses with crystal refraction. This is a very strong ice imperil. It's 130% ice imperil. There we go. Realm is going to go ahead and rod imperil. Would you pose for a portrait? Rod imperil. There we are. Roberta is going to do a buff for our stats. Is going to be using Draconic Triune to do ice amplification. Very cool. And doesn't really have anything else to do, so we just do Ignitos Domain. You could do whatever. Blue Mage Fina is going to go ahead and do double. And is going to be using Magic Mind Blast, which is an 80% Spirit Break to all enemies. You could do better if you have somebody else that does it. But she also comes with a nice Fairy Killer buff, the Crowning Veil. This is going to be a Fairy Killer buff of 150 for 4 turns. So she's a nice pick for this. If you're having trouble with this and you can't do this in 1 turn and you want to, you could give somebody the Obsidian Bracer to bring a better break, and that would help. But this is just an 80% break. You could bring somebody with a better break. There's lots of ways you could do it. Mediena is just going to be using the Ice Onslaught, right? All enemies, ice damage, MP times 50 for the damage that it does. Cool. And I just like to double check and make sure all of us have our breaks and our ice resistance. Ice, break, yep, and ice and break, and rod imperil. So it's all in there. Just send them at the same time, and if they survive, then we'll kill them on turn 2. The only one that ever survives is the top one, the green one. But if the boss did not die on turn 1, we would just have somebody give an elixir to Mediena on turn 2, refill her MP, and just do it again. And because they have Mirage stacks from Sky, or not Sky, from Regina, they will all their attacks will miss you on the next turn, and you're totally safe. This is a pretty brainless clear as long as you have the units that are available, but they don't have to be even geared. The only one that needs gear is Mediena. So if you just have like EX0, starter Roberta, or if you have your own Mediena, but you need to have somebody bring you a Roberta friend, like that's a thing you can do. They can be geared however you want, and it's not a problem. There it is. And we got all missions done too, because the missions are, I'll just show you the missions. I'm doing something else here in just a second. So the missions are: complete it, evoke an Esper. We could have evoked an Esper, theoretically, if I brought Esper fill gear and wanted to take 2 turns. We beat it within 8 turns in a party of 5. It's a party of 6 or less, so, I did... Don't get every mission, but, we get the important one, which is just to complete the quest for Bird Killer Sense. So that's cool. I guess if I took 2 turns, I could do an Esper. If we made the kill a little less over the top, we could have done that one. We got it within 8 turns, though. That's cool. There it is. So if you just really want to get this done in 1 turn, there's a way. If you want to get it done in 2 turns, still going to work. You just got to have maybe bring slightly less MP on your Mediena, and you won't do quite as much damage. And there it is. So if that's helpful for you, if you enjoy that, feel free to like and subscribe and do all the things that we do here on YouTube. And we'll be seeing you in the next video, which should also be coming out today, because there's another one that's just on a different topic. So we'll see you in that one. Take care.